Story 1. The most bizarre thing happened today, and there is no rational explanation for it. My wife returned home from working out at the gym this afternoon and immediately noticed that the leaf had been inserted in our dining room table. She asked me and our two children, aged 23 and 19, why we had put the leaf in the table while she was gone. We all looked at each other and confirmed that none of us had messed with the table. Of course, none of us had any reason to insert the leaf in the table. As a matter of fact, I am the only one who even knew that we kept the leaf in the garage. And I'm 100% sure my daughter wouldn't have the courage to wipe away the cobwebs on the thing, and my son certainly wouldn't take it upon himself to insert a leaf into a table without being harassed to do so. The leaf has been in the garage for years, as far as we can remember. I asked my wife if she was positive that the leaf hadn't been in the table all along. She confirmed that she was 100% sure. So we started looking through photos from Christmas, since we had some family members over to the house. Sure enough, there was a photo of the table during the gathering, and there was no leaf in it. I was dealing with COVID over the Christmas holiday, so I didn't participate in the gathering. I certainly didn't feel well enough to go down there and insert a leaf in the table, exposing everyone to what I had. There is a 0% chance that I inserted the leaf over the past week. My children had no reason to do so, and my wife didn't do it. We went out of town from Friday to Sunday, so no one was in our house over that time. No one had access to the house while we were gone, or had any reason to go into our house. Something else strange happened today while my wife was gone and I was home with the two kids. I opened the front door and a small bird that was on our wreath flew into the house cage. It flew around for about 5 minutes or so before it flew back out the open door. It was strange, but nothing paranormal for sure. Since my wife is positive, the leaf was not in the table when she left the house, because she puts her weights on the table and says she would have noticed if the table were extended. We think that the leaf must have been placed in the table while she was gone for that 2-hour period. It's actually a 2-person job to properly insert the leaf without causing damage. And since none of us in the house did it, we are baffled as to what happened. It makes us wonder about the fact that the bird flew in. Like, did the bird cause some sort of disruption in the matrix that resulted in the table leaf being inserted? We have racked our brains and have no logical explanation for this. Unless a stranger entered our home and managed to find the leaf to our table in the garage, insert it in the table, and replace the tablecloth and centerpiece on the table, then this is some sort of glitch in the matrix. Story 2. It's not there, and then it is. More than a decade later, my son and I were talking about this at Christmas, and we told his new wife the story, and she got creeped out, just like we did. Now, I was reminded of how weird the whole thing is, so I decided to share it here. Back around 2008, I was working in the front yard of my house one day when I noticed the screen of my son's bedroom window was missing. I was pissed off. Assuming it got removed and probably broken as he was sneaking out of the house one night. He was a very rebellious teenager after his mom died. He staunchly denied having done anything with it, point blank, stating that when he sneaks out, it's through one of the doors. I didn't believe him. I just knew that he had damaged it, and then hid it, or thrown it away. I also wondered if maybe it was the result of a failed break-in attempt. I looked all over for that missing screen or its parts without success. Of course, I planned to replace it, but just never got around to it. The bottom part of the window where the screen would be was blocked by a row as hedges, so it was one of those things that came to mind only now and then. I did not forget the missing screen, but it's a custom house where you just don't order screens that magically fit. Plus, I do sometimes procrastinate about some things. I remember being pressured into getting an estimate to replace all of the windows in about 2015. The salesman even commented about the missing screen when we were walking around the house. I didn't get the windows replaced because I thought the price was outrageous and just not worth it. Then in 2022, we had a severe hailstorm, which chewed up my roof. My insurance company came out to approve the repairs. Now, the adjuster and I walked around the house looking at all the damage to the gutters, window screens, glass, etc., to see what was covered by my policy. That's when I noticed it. The missing window screen was no longer missing. It was firmly attached to that window. It didn't have any damage from the hail. It didn't look brand new, and it was one of just a few without hail damage. 2 windows actually has broken glass. I literally get goosebumps from just writing that. Where was that window screen for 14 years? How did it get back on the window? My son, who's now a responsible adult, gets just as creeped out thinking about it. It shares. We have no idea what happened. Theories, anyone? Story 3. I saw my parents' doppelgangers. Okay, so I just joined this subreddit recently and figured to post this story with the hopes that someone has experienced a similar experience or maybe has an explanation. Experiencing I have been experiencing so many weird glitch in the matrix experiences recently, and am thinking of making separate posts for them. This happened to me, 22F, about a month or so ago. I've been thinking about this experience a lot recently, and a friend of mine recommended that I post it on here. This experience has kept me up at night recently, and the more I think about it, the more unexplainable it gets. It was a Saturday, and I enjoy filling up my car on the weekend before the week begins. I needed to get gas, and before I left the house, I told my dad I would be back in a few minutes. I just needed to get gas down the road at my local Kroger, B/C. It's 3 cents off the gallon, LOL, and would be back shortly after. Anyways, for some reason, I have an overbearing dad who refuses to believe I know how to pump gas on my own, even though I have been doing it for over 6 years. I leave the house to get gas, and as I mentioned, hey, the Kroger is right down the road. I have to take a massive left turn to get into the area, so I like to drive all the way around to avoid that massive turn, aka making a 2 minutes drive into a 7 minutes drive. As I'm making the drive, about 3 to 4 minutes in, I notice my parents' car approach me and begin driving close behind me in my rearview mirror. Their car is unique, as the color is a specific light grayish blue. I roll my eyes as I'm thinking, wow, they seriously think I can't get gas on my own and am following me to make sure I can. I approach a stop sign and quickly check my side view mirror to get a closer look, to make sure it's them, obviously annoyed. In my mirror, I see it as my parents driving. I know so intensely that it was my parents, like I know what my parents look like. There's something off I notice though. Their expressions are completely blank and just seem empty? Huh? I can't explain it, but it had to be my parents. But like all energy from them was gone. They look like NPCs. I decide to shrug it off and keep driving just the last stretch to the Kroger. As I turn into the Kroger, I notice my parents are no longer behind me. I pull up to a pump and pull out my phone to check my parents' location. They are at home there. There was no way they had enough time to make it back home from where I had last seen them on the road. Finishing pumping gas and make my way home, still very confused by the encounter. Later that night, I ask in a laughing manner to my mom, "Hey mom, why were you and dad following me earlier?" She looks at me super confused and says, "What are you talking about?" I explain what I saw on my way to get gas, and she replies with, "Dad and I haven't even left the house today." I must preface by saying that my parents are incredibly religious, conservative, straightforward people and would not prank me like this. I know with absolute certainty that they did not leave the house. So PLS, tell me who was following me. Story 4. I think I met myself. I live in a fairly small city, and I'm pretty familiar with most of the area. I work from home, so I don't get out much during the weekdays. But on weekends, I usually take long walks to clear my head. Saturday afternoon, I decided to walk around a part of town I don't normally go to. It's not far from where I live, but it's not an area I've really explored. Mostly industrial, not a lot of foot traffic, and not much to see besides warehouses. Anyway, I'm walking down this long straight road when I see someone coming toward me. It was a guy about the same height as me, wearing a hoodie, jeans, and a backpack. As he gets to about 15 to 20 feet away, we are now staring at each other. At this point, I genuinely feel like I'm taking a panic attack. It was the weirdest feeling I've ever had. I know this person. I've seen him before. It was M.E. now. Not in the sense that I thought we looked alike. I immediately recognized everything about him. The way he was walking, his posture, the way his hand was resting in his pocket, it was me. When we passed each other, neither of us said a word. We just continued looking each other up and down. It was the feeling that we were two versions of the same person. The expression on his face was confused and fearful, his eyes were wide, and it was like he was thinking the exact same thing I was thinking. I didn't see him walking away. When I turned back around after an awkwardly long time staring at each other, I waited what felt like 10 to 20 seconds before turning around again, and by that point, there was no sign of him anywhere. There were no alleys or places he could have ducked into. I walked back to where we passed each other, and nothing. No trace of him. It was like he just vanished. At first, I tried to brush it off. I figured I was just imagining things, but I think I'm trying to convince myself. I've tried Googling this, but the results were just about urban legends or stories about doppelgangers being some kind of bad omen. Nothing useful. My friends say I'm probably just stressed out or seeing things, but honestly, I can't shake the feeling that I slipped into some kind of parallel universe, or that there's some glitch in the Matrix happening. I've also noticed I keep getting deja vu about random things. Has anyone ever experienced something like this? Or am I just losing it? I swear I didn't hallucinate this. Story 5. Saw the same car's person broken down on side of the road. This happened about 30 years ago, And the story always stuck with me to be really creepy. My mom and her friend were driving to a Girl Scout leader event. They saw a creepy-looking guy with his car broken down on the side of the parkway. They continued driving, and after a while they see another car broken down on the side of the road. As they get closer, they see it's the same car and the same guy. They were completely freaked out but continued driving to get to where they were going. As soon as my mom told me this story, I believed her, and it has always been something that I randomly think about and wonder how this could be possible. Story 6. Once upon a time in an Indian restaurant. I always look at menus online before I go to a restaurant. I like to pick out what I might want to eat ahead of time. Now, I was visiting a city I had never been to, and I figured I'd go get Indian food since we didn't have an Indian restaurant where I lived. Before going, I looked at the menu. I decided on samosas and chicken vindaloo. I'm really not a dessert person at all. I prefer savory food to sweet food, but I figured that I had never tried an Indian dessert, so I might as well. They had maybe 4 to 5 dessert options, and I picked one while still at home. I don't remember the name. I went to the restaurant, and after I had finished my food, the waiter asked if I wanted dessert. I told him I did, but that I couldn't remember the name of the dessert and it was on the tip of my tongue. I asked if I could see the menu again, and she said he would go get it. A few minutes later, he still hadn't come back with the menu, but another waiter, not my original waiter, came to the table with a dessert. I asked him the name, and it was the exact dessert I had picked. This is weird because I hadn't said the name of the dessert while in the restaurant. I had picked it at the hotel while looking at the menu online. It's even weirder that it wasn't our waiter, and that the dessert he brought to the table is the exact one I had been thinking of. Does anyone have any idea what happened? Maybe it was just coincidence. The person I was at the restaurant with was also bewildered. Story 7. Waitress brought our order we never ordered? I've been confused about this since it happened. I met this guy a few weeks ago, and we decided to go to this tea place. We arrived and were taken to the downstairs area by the waitress. We got seated, got our menus, and then she left and went back upstairs. It was only us and like 4 to 5 other customers in that room. It was a small area. We started looking through the menu. This place had like hundreds of tea options. We decided to get chai tea. They had around 4 options of that too. We eventually decided on the masala chai, then closed the menus and just started chatting. We had been talking for like 20 to 30 minutes ATP when I realized the waitress never came back to take our order. So I asked the guy, "Is she ever going to come?" Or then he said, "Oh, I think we have to push a button to call for them." Indeed, there was a button under the table. The waiters didn't mention it, by the way, so I pressed it. Within like 30 seconds, the waitress came with the masala chai. That we never ordered. When she left, I was like, "Did we order?" And the guy was also like, "We didn't, did we?" We were confused AF, but he got over it pretty quickly, so we never asked, but I'm so confused. No waiter ever came downstairs to take our order. There was no one there besides us and the other guests, nor did the guy ever leave the table to order. So what could it be? Glitch in the Matrix? Time slip? Someone I told it to said maybe they have a microphone, or SMTH. I think that'd just be weird AF. Or a waiter overheard our conversation, but that'd be super unprofessional. They would still need to come and confirm the order or inform us how it works, etc. Also, when I pressed the button, she came immediately. So even if we did order, what would possibly take them half an hour to make a pot of masala chai or? Why would they wait until we call for them to bring it? Further adding to the glitchy feeling of it all, cold sweat smile. Story 8. Random objects disappearing? The first object to go missing was a single shoe. Me and my friends were deep cleaning my room and my shoe disappeared. We checked all the trash bags, the donation box, under my dresser, and all through my closet, and it was nowhere to be found. I kept the other one for months to see if it showed up, and it never did. I didn't really think twice about it. This one freaked me out a little. I was on my bed with my BF opening packages using a pocket knife. I set it down to look through the box, and when I went to pick it back up, it was gone. We checked all of the empty boxes, the trash, under my comforter, under my pillows, and even moved my bed from the wall. Still, we never found it, and it has always left me unsettled. I didn't start to connect these things until recently another item disappeared. I was packing to go home for the holidays, and my doorstop went missing. Again, I checked all through my closet, behind everything on my floor, under my dresser, behind my organizer, and it's nowhere. I ended up ordering a new one, but then I stopped to think about how these things kept happening. I feel like I am going crazy. These have all happened over a year. How are my things, that aren't very small mind you, just disappearing into thin air? Where have they gone? None of them have turned back up. Story 9. Dead classmate comes to reunion? So I graduated from university in 2020. I remember one of our classmates passed away due to COVID. Didn't really know him that well. Our conversations never got past greetings. Fast forward to last week, we had a reunion, and I see his brother at the reunion, later find out it's not his brother, it's him. I was too afraid to say anything, didn't want people to think I'm crazy, and I couldn't backpedal and say I'm joking because joking about someone's death in our culture is extremely insulting and considered a bad omen, and I didn't want to be that guy. So I just spent the evening acting causal and talking to people normally. Someone pulled out our graduation photo and we started talking about it. He's not there. And when I asked him why he didn't attend, in a "it was a great day you missed out" kind of way, not confrontational, he said, "I don't remember, must have been busy." And that confused me even more. Asked my friend that I am still in touch with and he said thank you, so I thought maybe he just got COVID and there was just rumors that he died. Aside from the fact spreading rumors about someone's death is extremely frowned upon, no one just forgets they got COVID. Who the hell misses their graduation? If you do, it must have been a big deal. But he doesn't remember. I specifically remember people posting "you'll be missed" and "RIP" Instagram stories. I dismissed it as a false memory until my friend said he remembered it. My wife, who was my girlfriend during graduation, remembers me mentioning a classmate's death from COVID, so I know I am not misremembering things. There's no posts about his death on my friend's timeline, and his Facebook has been inactive since 2018. I am sure it's him, not someone else, because no one died before graduation or even a year after, except him. What could this be? I am not saying it's a glitch in the Matrix, but it's fucking weird. Story 10. Reappearing object? I posted on here quite some time ago about how my favorite nail polish vanished years ago and it still bugged me. I expected it to turn up when I packed up and cleaned my entire house and moved 2 years ago. It never did. I've been looking at polishes occasionally when I go to stores for all these years, hoping to find a similar shade to replace it, knowing it was likely discontinued and not remembering what the brand was. I'm not a very avid nail person. I only do my toes, and I only have about half a dozen colors that I've been using forever. Now this morning, I decided to paint my toenails and was not very decisive about the color I wanted. I opened up the medicine chest where I keep my polishes, and there it was. Not only there, but standing front and center. Story 11. Levitation. Many years ago, a group of us were walking back from the pub late at night on a path following a river. It's kind of a big grassy bank slowly going down to the riverbank. One of us is on his push bike. We're slow, so he's doing annoying loops around and around and around us. Suddenly, we decide we're going to do something about this. There's lots of us, and we end up trying to chase the guy into the river. A mad chase ensues, and we box him in between the riverbank and a huge prickly bush overhanging the water, and bam! He rides right through the middle of the bush and comes out the other side apparently unhurt, and we all roll around laughing and decide to go home. Next day or so, we go back to find the push bike-shaped hole in the bush in the daylight. We find the bush overhanging the river, but there's no hole. What a shame. Except in the soft grass, there's 2 tire tracks, which go off the bank out over the water, and then come back onto the bank the other side of the bush. There was no sign of a bank collapse. The bush was the same place relative to the river as it had been. We concluded that my friend's beer-induced superpower was walking on water and left it at that. Story 12. Weird little glitch with straws. My 5-year-old has a bunch of cups with straws. We have all of the same cup/lid/straws for him, just in all different colors. I noticed the other day that the straws suddenly seemed really long. I grabbed one and it was too long for the cup, sticking way up. I thought it was really weird but figured some random different straw got mixed in. But then every straw was that way. None of the straws were the right length. I didn't say anything to anyone. I figured I was misremembering what they used to be like, because there's no other explanation. We didn't have other cups to mix it up with. These are the straws. They are just suddenly really long. So today my 5-year-old grabs a straw and says to me, "Did the straws change?" I nonchalantly asked what he thought changed. He said, "They got longer." Flushed. I just said, "It seems like it, doesn't it?" And he said, "Yeah." And we just continued with our day. Cold sweat smile. Story 13. Droplet of water randomly on my hand with no explanation. This is such a weird thing because it's not even that crazy, but this happened a while ago and sometimes I'll just think of it and still be like, huh, that was weird. I still don't know how that happened. But one day I was in the kitchen. Yes, I was somewhat near the sink, but it was not on, nor had it just been used. And I was sort of just standing there, probably on my phone, I think I was, because my hands were not in a resting position. Just a very mundane moment in life that I can't remember fully up until I randomly get a splash of water on top of my hand. And my immediate thought is, oh shit, there's a leak in the ceiling. So I of course look up expecting to see drops of water falling, but no, nothing. So I'm like, what? How come I have water on my hand then? So I grabbed the kitchen stool from the island and put it in the spot where I was standing and stood on it to feel the ceiling, and it was bone dry. So I get down and now I'm like, really bothered. BC, how did that happen? So I'm feeling my hair. BC, maybe my hair was just a bit wet or something, even though I didn't come from outside and I hadn't had a shower. Nope, dry. I feel my clothes, dry. I look at the floor, feel it, and it's all dry. No one else is in the kitchen with me, and I don't think it was the sink, because well, first it wasn't even on, and even if it was, I wasn't close enough to it for water to even get near me, and even if it did get on me, how would it have landed on top of my hand in a big water droplet? Usually if you get splashed by the sink, it's just a small spray, but again, it wasn't even on, nor was I close enough. I then seemed like an insane person, because after analyzing the entire kitchen and myself for an explanation, I go to my mom, dad, and sister and explain it, and they're all like, okay, DK, it's just water? Prob's just wet somewhere. And I'm like, no, you don't get it. It came from nowhere. How did this happen? And no one else cares. So that was that, and now I'm randomly remembering it and writing it on Reddit. 'Cause what? Now. Does anyone else have a clue? Now. And why? Am I crazy? Story 14. My earphones teleported home. Glitch in the Matrix? On Christmas Day, I was about to head to a relative's house. At the last minute, I saw my wireless earphones on my bedroom nightstand and decided to grab them. I clearly saw them as I picked them up, and the white case has a distinct, smooth texture, so I'm absolutely sure it was them. Taking them with me was out of the ordinary. These are my home earphones. I've had them for over a year and have never taken them out of the house. So, this last-minute decision to bring them while I was rushing out was unusual and totally out of character. I dropped them into my purse, and I even remember feeling uneasy about it. I don't usually take them out, and I was worried about accidentally leaving them somewhere, but I figured, what's the harm? I probably won't even use them. Sure enough, I didn't touch them during the outing, and I got back home. I wanted to use the earphones while doing some housework. I emptied my purse, turned it upside down, and searched everywhere for those earphones, but they were nowhere to be found. Frustrated, I sat on my bed, and then I felt the familiar shape of the case under my thigh. There they were, under one of my covers. At home. Can someone explain what just happened? TLDR, glitch in the Matrix? Took my wireless earphones out for the first time ever to Christmas party. They somehow left my purse and respawned back at home under my bed covers. Story 15. When I was living in my previous flat, I had a strange experience. The flat was in a very old building, built in the 16th century, Central Europe. It had low ceilings, a narrow staircase, and an attic that no one dared to enter. There was something eerie about it now, but the flat was beautiful, overlooking the historic center of the city. Well, I digress. We adopted a cute little cat with our roommates. One of my roommates was particularly fond of her, always talking in baby voices at her. One evening, I was in the bathroom when I heard my roommate come home, keys jiggling in the lock, her welcoming our cat in the baby voice. So I straightened up and went to say hi to her. However, when I came to the living room, nobody was there. Only the cat peacefully sleeping on the couch. The flat was completely silent. I couldn't believe it. I most definitely heard her come home. Was it a hallucination or a glitch? Story 16. Trash reappeared on coworker's desk the next morning. I've experienced several glitches in the Matrix throughout my life, but since this one was so recent, I figured I'd share. Yesterday I was chilling in my coworker's office, and my vape was starting to burn out. I got a new coil out and changed it at her desk. Normally I do a full soak/clean of my tank when changing coils, but I was being lazy, so I did everything there. I used a few paper towels to take out the old coil so I wouldn't get juice all over my hands, and bundled it up and immediately threw it away in her trash can. We have a building custodian that takes out the trash and changes the liners every single day, regardless of how full they are. This morning, apparently the old coil was setting straight up on my coworker's desk right in front of her keyboard. She didn't even know what it was and asked if it was mine, and I was like, yes. But it's trash that I threw away yesterday? Genuinely no idea. The only thing we could think of is maybe the custodian saw it in the trash, didn't know what it was, and thought it might be important/not supposed to be trash, and took it out as a kind gesture? BUT again. It was bundled up in a pretty thick wad of paper towels because I didn't want vape juice all over my hands or it getting on her desk, so it's difficult for me to imagine it even falling out on a visible way for the custodian to even notice in the first place. And even so, it would have been covered in oily juice residue and was still when she found it on her desk this morning. So I think the logical assumption would be trash either way. The other explanation is that it somehow fell out onto her desk or onto the floor when I was throwing it away. But again, I had to use a firm grip to unscrew it from my tank in the first place, and then wadded it up around the coil after removing it, and immediately went to the trash can from there, which was about 2 feet away, and I know I heard the soft little thud of it falling in too, like the weight of the coil was definitely inside to create audible feedback. We also checked the surface of her desk where I was sitting, and didn't see any residue or anything indicating it was there. But even so, that still would have required the custodian to have moved it to be positioned right in front of her keyboard, and he never touches anything on our desks. No dusting, tidying up, etc. like that. Maybe if it was somehow on the floor he could have noticed it, but also sort of a stretch to me. He does not vacuum/sweep or anything like that either. Literally the only thing he does is our trash bins and the windows. Anyway, it is completely within the realm of reason that it's human error on my end and the custodian moved it thinking it was important. But my distinct memory and previous experience knowing our custodian tells me it's impossible. Just one of those weird things, I guess. TLDR. I threw away a vape coil in my coworker's trash can yesterday, and somehow it reappeared on her desk in front of her keyboard. Story 17. Lost dog. I live a few hours away from my mother. She has had bad run of luck the last few years, this being her house burned down with animals inside, so she has become very attached. Her new dog, he is a little chihuahua. Afterwards, I had returned home. I went to bed for the night. When I woke up, my mom must have called me bunch. I finally wake up to her call, and she is crying so hard she'd been searching all night for poor Chihuahua. Time met my mom was 9 p.m. in October 2024. I said you've been walking around for 10 hours looking for your dog. She then explains, that dog just vanished. I told her an owl or some nighttime prowler probably killed your dog, Mom. Trying to be reasonable of the situation since you've been looked for this long. Then I said to go the place we first meet last night to see if the dog is there. 30 minutes later she calls me, said her dog is alive. Her dog was found by a person driving to work. So this dog wanders and gets lost in the short patch of woods. Finally hits road. A person driving to work finds the dog. Ooh, this person is randomly staying at this cabin because it was a late night for her. She works close place to sleep. That so happens is the person who works at the place where I met my mom the previous night before. So her dog lived. She cried for 12 hours. Called me within 30 minutes. Her dog was found alive at the place I told her to look. Glitch in my matrix. Story 18. End part of October of 2024. I had a break glitch in my matrix. I was having some personal issues with my GF. I decided to give her some space. I drove 3 hours to my mother's place for the weekend, then return home later. So I am chillin'. Have a good time. Guess my mom company didn't think too much of me, so my mom rented me a hotel room near her place. At this point, I spent about 3 days nights away from home. I was walking to a state park that Monday. On my walk to the park, when a random message from my GF showed up on my phone. Say she will support me and yeah, I know the makeup stuff. I was cool. I call her. She is at my mom's place. Cool, even better. So she has drove 3 hours from our home to support me and pick me up. She and I went to our home. The next day, when she was at work, she got an important message asking her to go to HR. The HR said she'd been listed as a missing person. She was home. For some reason, she vanished for a day or so. Glitch in the matrix, she time altered or something was fixed. It was crazy when she came home from said she was reported as a missing person. She was home and fine. Just vanished for day. Wild time, wild world. Story 19. Strange spice shaker. We were out of smoked paprika, so I bought 2 new spice shakers with it. My fiancée was having trouble opening them. There is a little paper wall in between, so she asked for help. I opened it and removed the paper thing so she could cook lunch with it. A few hours later, I was making dinner. I opened our spice cabinet and saw the 2 shakers. One was emptier than the other, so I used that one. However, when I tried to season, it didn't work. I examined it and saw that it was sealed by this paper thing. My first thought was to try the other one, but to my surprise, that one was also sealed. I asked my GF just to make sure where she had put the one I had opened for her. She told me the spot, and of course, it had to be one of the 2. I mean, one was even emptier. I called my GF over and showed her the shakers. She was totally confused. Since she has never played pranks on me and is a pretty bad liar, I'm 100% sure it wasn't a joke. Plus, those paper things are always stuck on pretty firmly, and we don't have any glue in the house. Story 20. Faucet hot and cold switched sides. I remember when I was just around 18. It was in my family house, in which we lived for almost 4 years by then. One morning I came down to take a shower, and as usual, after doing so, I went to the faucet and started brushing my teeth. I pulled the handle down where hot water always was. But a couple seconds go by and I can feel it getting colder. I kid you not. I stood there angry for a good couple of minutes with water just running and getting colder each second, thinking we were out of hot water from the boiler, which should NT be the case after just me taking a shower. But then I realized the blue sticker was on the bottom and the red sticker was at the top of the handle. Like, I went out of the bathroom to ask my dad something along the lines of, "Hey, why are the water temp sides switched in our faucet?" And he responded with, "But it was always the same, why Liz Mayaya." Cold was at the bottom and hot was at the top, and he stared me up and down like I was drugged or something. I swear, hand to my heart, they one day switched sides randomly, and they are like that ever since. Story 21. Missing toothpaste? I use an iced tea toothpaste due to the fact that mint flavors causes nausea for. I keep this toothpaste in the top vanity drawer under the spare toothbrushes. On the 24th, I went to use it. It wasn't there. I looked all over the bathroom and couldn't find it. Brother was screwing with me. I thought my brother was screwing with me, so I just used regular toothpaste. Got nauseous, but whatever. Funny joke. I kind of forgot about it on Christmas. But today, 26th, I remember. I asked my mom if she had thrown it out. She hadn't. She went through the bathroom to check for it. It wasn't there. I asked my brother if he was screwing with me. He was confused. I elaborated. He had no clue my toothpaste even existed. I've checked everywhere. I can't find it. No one else was in the house through the time it vanished, and I can't think of any other explanation. 22. I can't find an explanation for this. While showering yesterday, I heard the back of one of my earrings hit the shower floor. I picked it up and placed it on the vanity outside of the shower. Thought nothing of it again until this morning when I remembered, and immediately went to make sure the earring didn't fall out overnight. To my surprise, all 12 of my earrings still had their backs snugly in place. Did I hallucinate it falling out? Did I put it back on and not remember? I went to the vanity expecting to see nothing, and lo and behold, there's the earring back that fell out. I'm at a complete loss. I don't have extras of these laying around. Each earring has one back. All my other earrings with their backs were inside my jewelry case, all matched up. The shower is tiny, corner stand-up thing, and bright white. It gets rinsed after each use, and I just did a good scrub of it a week ago. There is no way that a lost back from another time could have still been in there sight unseen. These are flat back screw-on kinds, and no one else in my house wears ones like it. It makes the list of top 5 unexplained things I've experienced in my life. Story 23. Something weird happened in college. This incident happened to me and my friend in college, so a little backstory. For entering the collage, we need a SED card. We can also load money on the SED card and swipe it to mark our attendance and to purchase food from the canteen as well. So in the break time where we can chill and eat, my friend, being my friend, took my card as he didn't have his own at the time and went to get something from the canteen. During all of this, the break ended, and all of us went to our respected classes. I had a free lecture and went with my other friends to another class which was in the other block to sit and just chill. Those classes are meant for students who have a free lecture so that they can study or complete their work, etc. So that time I was unaware that the friend also had a free lecture and was looking for me thinking I'm in my class and went to my original class where he thought I would be to return my ID card. After he went to my class, he got to know that I wasn't there and left my card with the teacher. Meanwhile, something or someone that looked like my friend but wasn't him entered the class and came to me. He looked strange and seemed like he didn't want to talk, or to keep the whole interaction very short, he gave me my ID card and turned back, and as soon as he did, I asked him to sit down and he replied saying, "I'll be back in sometime," and went away. Also, when he came in the class, he was looking down and looked at the door while entering, like something was there, which was totally opposite of his personality. He is usually always smiling and is liked by everyone. After all this, after a minute or two, he again came back, as if it was the first time he came. He entered with his usual smile, shook my hand, and told me that he had been looking for me to return the card and had dropped it off in my class with the teacher, to which I told him that he had just given it to me, to which I showed him. We both have spoken over it multiple times. It's not possible that I went to my class and came back before he came to the other block, because there is only one way to walk between those blocks, and it's not possible for anything human to go the other block to get the card and return back and sit in the class while my friend was coming from my original class to the other block at that same time. Even the teacher didn't tell me anything once I returned to my class after the lecture ended. This friend has been with me since more than 5 years, and I know him in and out, and I just know when he's lying. I remember his face. When I told him all of this, I am sure that whatever he's saying is true. And even I, whenever I think of this, gives my some kind of a weird feeling, as if something that was him but wasn't, was present there for whatever reason. Story 24. What is happening? Black lamp appeared. So I remember hearing about a lamp from my college friends when we were joking/discussing the Matrix. I even know this is the place after my current event that the first lamppost ever went. Last night, Christmas Eve 2024. I got very high with my ex, GF, we're just best friends now, and had a moment where I started letting myself high think? Like, what's the earliest form of higher thinking? Which lead me to a Reddit post about cavemen being super intelligent. My GF and I started talking about it, and we got onto a discussion of there's literally only two people in the world. Those that when thinking, think of pictures or images to interpret their own thoughts, and then those that use words as if reading a book to narrate their own thoughts. Discovered she was a picture thinker, and I a word thinker. We somehow turned that conversation onto the discussion of Gnosticism or something like that, an old fascination of hers. Fell asleep listening to a YouTuber basically deep dive Gnosticism and such. Woke up today, on Christmas, and felt off. Had a dream that basically there was something about the Matrix or a altered reality where to wake up you have to do something or realize something that would allow you to ascend to another existence through a way of spiritual awakening/thinking. Or something like this. Again, I was very high and very tired, and it was a dream while listening to a weird YouTube video we get munchies at some point in the night. So I wake up, she's still awake, watching the videos, and I ask if she wants to grab food from the kitchen. Steens. She says, yeah, I go to the kitchen with her, and we grab food. She leaves. Oh, for some reason, back and forth to her room. I have a underlight to all my cabinets in my kitchen to use at night for times like this. That way we aren't blinded by the full kitchen light if one of us wants a snack. They're all a single light per cabinet. As soon as she leaves, the light closest to me starts flickering. I look at it thinking it will stop, and I need to change it. It doesn't stop flickering. I look under my cabinet and the light seems fine. My GF is gone for a while, and I kinda get scared that this light is flickering. I can hear wind whistling despite being indoors. I start saying, GF, hey GF, GF, where did you go? GF, come here, get food with me. Aren't you hungry? Is back. As soon as she comes back, the light is fixed, no longer flickering. I stare at the light for a bit, wondering if I should even tell my ex GF. I don't. Anyway, I wake up and my ex is gone. It doesn't matter. But yes, we slept together. Mainly because I was spooked. Partially because I was trying to work out our relationship. And so far, I am making progress. Woke up and she was just gone. Which I thought was strange as she never wakes up before me because I get up at 9 a.m. every day, and she gets up around like 2 p.m. And we have two separate rooms because we live together. I went to her room, she was asleep in her bed. I went downstairs and she sent me a text saying she went to her own bed after not feeling well. I thought it was weird because I just saw her sleeping. I head back to my room and watch some shows. The GNOSTICSM guy is still playing on my desktop. I turn him off and put on random YouTube videos. Eventually play some games. It's Christmas, and my GF works, so eventually she left for work. Nothing unusual. It's now 6:28, and I turn off my games board, as my friends also aren't coming online, or are playing games I don't enjoy. I go get food. Nothing unusual. I grab a soda, and I return to my room. I feel like I misplaced my soda. I look around and notice it's on my bed. I grab it, and turn back to my desk. Out the corner of my eye, I see something, and get that sense, like something's off. I look around. Despite grabbing my soda, I lost it again. I see it on my desk. Black lamp in the corner of the room, in front of a TV. I find it very strange that it's in front, the TV. It blocks the view. It's so dark against the black screen of the TV that if I don't focus on the lamp, I can't see it. But it's there. That's basically it. I never bought a lamp. My ex could have, but she would have brought it to my attention. Additionally, the entire lamp is black. So black. I find it strange because it looks like it would dim a light bulb if turned on inside the lamp. If I stare at the lamp, it looks flat, not round like a lamp would be. I am aware of the other lamp story, but don't know how that story goes. Just that it's a glitch or something, when your life is going too good, if I remember right. If I stare at the TV and don't focus on the lamp, I can't see it. I have to look directly at the lamp to see it, otherwise I can't. It's hard to explain. I am unsure what's going on or what to do. Tons of people had questions about the other guy's lamp, and I'll answer anything about my own, but I am not going to touch or turn it on. Why? You guessed it. Spooked. Update 1. My GF and I were talking about the lamp, and we both agreed it was black. However, she wanted to look at it more closely, and used a high-beam flashlight she has for camping to look at it. The lamp changes color. I was surprised it's a tannish brown. My GF, however, said it was like an olive green. We moved to my bed to settle down and both kept looking at it periodically. She took the flashlight back out and it was gray. I asked what color she saw and she said gray as well. We're both fascinated by this lamp, moving around the room and looking at it and asking if we both see the same things. It's become far less scary now that I've talked to her about it and know she can see it. She also sent it to some of her friends and it's the same thing. No matter what, some see it and some don't. However, everyone we showed it to says it's black. Even if we bring the high beam flashlight up to it, they still say it's black. She, my GF, said we should just sleep and see what happens in the morning. If it's still there, we're not in an alternate reality, we'll touch it. 2. People are bringing up good points about more than one photo, different angles, etc. Look, bro, I didn't think I'd have to photograph this thing past a simple pic. I thought just you see it? Cool, let's move on. But of course, why would anything be simple? Anyway, more photos coming once I don't feel lazy. It will be today though, December 26th, 2024. I also have plans to touch it. It's just not scary, versus when I first noticed it. I'll do photos before I touch it though. Update 3. The lamp is gone. I touched it. I do have more photos, but I don't know if anyone wants to see them. It's just a different angle, and then me using a high beam flashlight directly on it, to where the light turns colors. IOFC showed it to my friends and GF first, and they see either gray or brown. To me it's gray. Without the high beam it looks black, and we all agree on that. As for touching it, nothing happened. It felt extremely dusty though. Well, let me clarify. There is dusty, and then there is persal, very soft sandpaper. I touched, wiped, and rubbed the lamp, and it feels like I should have something on my hand, but nothing, not even dust residue is on my hand. Lastly, a few hours after touching it, I looked back at the lamp to check on it. It's gone. It's gone. I am kind of happy it is, but also kind of sad. Nothing has changed since its disappearance. Final update 4. We'll be linking more photos and videos. I am not sure if others are high while looking at this post or are just dumb and quick to call anything they don't understand a lie/fake. No malice towards them. It's just annoying to make a post or I don't understand something myself, then be told to do this, that, X, and Y just to prove something I, again, don't even understand. Then if I do my research or look this situation up, because there's a viral story of it happening to someone else. I thought you didn't know. Please read. I literally said, and even the TLDR guy said I knew of it. But it's just vague memory. Why would I not clear up my own confusion by rereading his story? One of the earliest comments is my own, saying I am going to reread his post. More photos and possible videos, times taken before the disappearance. Why have I not shared these sooner? I don't feel in danger and nothing weird is happening. I don't owe anyone anything, let alone Redditors, and genuinely have started to lose interest in the lamp as again. Cool. It doesn't do anything. It was just there and now it's not. Sorry I didn't disappear or ascend to a higher reality. Here is a link to the photos. I can't figure out a way/website. I can just dump videos without signing up or whatever. If you know one, it'll show how the lamp can disappear and reappear using nothing but light, and appears and disappears using said light and angles. This isn't the reason the lamp disappeared. As of right now, no matter the angle or light used, I can't see the lamp. I touched it, but no one moved it. It's just gone. Oh well. The date is 12/27 for validity, or if I do disappear out of nowhere, though I doubt it. In the below photos, I understand the lamp looks blurry. If I am not shinging the high beam on it, that's just how it is. Please take notice, nothing else in the photo is blurry. At most it might be pixelated, from being downloaded and re-uploaded through my phone, to email, to the site I used to share. Story 25. Glitch twice in the same spot? Has anyone ever had the same glitch happen twice? I had this weird situation happen on 2 different occasions, months apart. I live in a massive international city, with good public transportation. There's a main connection point, where one train line connects to another. I've made this connection at last, 4 days a week for 5 years, prior to anything weird happening. One day I got off my train, went down the stairs, absolutely sure I went down the stairs because there was someone going annoyingly slow in front of me so I wasn't just zoning out, and got on the train to the right. I know it was to the right because it was headed in the correct direction. The city I live in does not switch tracks ever. They have a relatively new train system and I've never witnessed, heard of, or seen a sign for a train switching tracks or directions. If there is any alteration, I've seen 2 in 6.5 years. They run an empty train and no one is allowed on it. I speak and read the language, and pay attention to announcements. The train on the lower level heads straight in that direction. The upper level train turns right. I ended up turning right. No one seemed to be surprised by the train going to the right, so I retraced my steps 1,000 times. I 100% went downstairs, and I 100% got on the train on the correct side. I was so confused. When I went back to the same station to get on the correct train, I retraced my steps twice and lined them up to the signs and the trains. I absolutely got on the train at the correct location. There were no changes, yet somehow I magically ended up on the train going the wrong way. This bothered me so much for months, but it never happened again until about 6 months later. Same thing. I was going in the opposite direction returning home. Same staircase, but going up instead. Got on the train at the correct side. Somehow ended up going the wrong way. This time I had been staring at an ad on a building before the train arrived, so I remembered exactly where I was. When I went back, I retraced my steps. I stood in the same spot, staring at the same ad, but this time went in the correct direction. Everything was correct, and there was absolutely no reason I should have ended up on a train going that way. It's been about a year, and it's never happened again. But it always bugs me because I know I went the correct way, but twice I magically ended up on a train I shouldn't have been on. So I am left thinking, I either have some terrible slow-growing brain tumor that distorted my reality, or I ran into some weird space/time warp that I don't even believe in. Story 26. Missing checker piece reappears. This happened maybe 9 years ago when I was still a kid. It always freaked me out, but I didn't find this Reddit community until recently, so I'll share it now. So back then I just received a new Chinese chess set from my dad. My dad never used to get me any toys, so I really cherished it. It wasn't regular Chinese chess. I'm not sure what the English name for it was, but it had a lot of pieces. There was 36 pieces with 6 different colors. My dad specially told me to take good care of this set and not lose any pieces because there was so much. He told me lots of times to clean up after playing and gave me a baggie to store these pieces. On the second day I had it, I was playing inside my room on my desk. I saw a single red piece drop to the ground. I saw it drop underneath my desk onto the ground. When I bent down to find it, it was nowhere to be seen. It was the first gift my dad had gotten me in years and was 2 days new. I tried really hard to find it. I basically flipped my room upside down to find it. I moved the desk and chairs to try and find it on the ground. I even looked in other areas in my room on the ground thinking it could have rolled elsewhere. Couldn't find it at all. I knew my dad would get mad at me if I told him I had already lost a piece. So I decided to keep quiet and just put the set away, not telling a soul I had lost a piece. I knew 100% when I put this set away, I was still missing that one red piece I searched all afternoon on every inch of my room for. I had not opened the set to play for a few days until my mom requested that we play together. We played on the ground/carpet of her bedroom. She had a big carpet, and at the end of the carpet was a sofa. Eventually she finds out I had lost a piece, and I pretend that I know nothing about it. Tears of joy. I act dumb, and I say that when I last played the set was complete, so we try looking for it in her room on the ground and carpet. I obviously know it's not going to appear in her room, but I was acting to try and find it diligently. So I point out maybe it could have rolled under that sofa at the end of her carpet while we set this up. So she goes and check. Long and behold, it fucking shows up under that sofa. I was so shocked. This chess set was never played in my mom's room. Until that day, I had clearly saw it drop to the ground in my own room and disappear. I was just acting like I didn't know I had lost a piece to get out of trouble, when I was searching for it in my mom's room, suggesting it could be under the couch. I, however, really convinced myself it could be in my mom's room to put on the act. Tears of joy. Tears of joy. It still shocks me today. Definitely a glitch about how it could have shown up in my mom's room. I've never played there. I'm the only child who plays this set. And when I packed this set up the last time I played, I was so paranoid about the lost piece. I checked numerous times and was sure the set was incomplete before putting it away. Really freaked me out back then. Story 27. Same plushie keeps ending up on the ground multiple times. I have a bunch of plushies that I like to keep on my bed when I make my bed in the morning, but at night, I keep them on a chair across from my bed. When I was getting ready for bed 4 nights ago, I put the plushies from my bed on the chair, then started doing my routine for sleeping, and all of this requires me to walk around my room to do stuff. Once I got in my bed, I noticed one of my small plushies on the floor in the middle of the room. This was really unusual BC. I put it under all of the other plushies, so there was no chance it could roll off without disturbing the other plushies, which appeared to be undisturbed. Also, I 100% would have noticed it when walking around my room. After that, I shrugged it off and just got out of bed, put it on the chair, and went to sleep. The next 2 nights I did my routine and the same thing happened. The plushie was in the middle of the room in the exact same place. it was the same position because it was next to a fan in my room all 3 times, with the other plushies undisturbed. Again, I put it up and went to sleep. When I actually realized this happened 3 times, the plushie stopped moving and nothing happened since. I wasn't sure if it was a glitch in the Matrix or a ghost or SM thing, but I thought it was pretty weird. Story 28. Remote Insanity. So 9 months ago, our TV remote went missing. I have 2 younger kids, and the darn thing has gone missing before, so this last time I just said F***CK it, and didn't order a new remote, and I'm just paying for the Universal Remote app on my phone. A couple nights ago, I'm watching Bluey on TV with my kids before bed. The kids get tired, and I put them to bed. After I put them to bed, Bluey is still paying on TV. I hit the home button on my remote app because I'm not wanting to watch Bluey by myself or hear it in the background, and I'm not really interested in watching TV. Hitting the home button brings up a screen with nothing playing. I'm scrolling my phone when Bluey comes on again. I again hit the home button on my TV app. I'm scrolling my phone and Bluey pops up again and starts playing. It finally dawns on me that maybe I'm sitting on the actual physical remote, like it got lost in the cushions and it's lodged in there. Lo and behold, I find the actual remote. I'm so excited, and I proudly tell my husband I found the actual damn remote. And he reminds me, we bought our new couch 5 months ago, 4 months after the remote went missing. So yeah, not sure WTF happened there, but I'm happy to have my new, old, remote back. Story 29. A weird momentary glitch, or what I call object permanence gremlins. One day, I experienced what can only be described as a glitch in the Matrix. I was heading to the post office, and before leaving the house, I slid my heavy metal credit card into the pocket of my pajama pants. I remember doing it clearly. The weight of the card, the cool metal against my hand, and the deliberate motion of putting it in my pocket. I even felt the card there as I drove. When I arrived at the post office, I instinctively reached into my pocket to retrieve the card, but it wasn't there. I checked again. Nothing. Scared. I emptied my pocket, ran my hand along the fabric, and patted down my entire outfit. Still nothing. Puzzled, I returned to my car and searched the seats, the floor, and even the center console, thinking perhaps I had somehow dropped it or misplaced it on the way. But no luck. By this point, I figured I must have left the card at home, even though I was sure I had felt it during the drive. Frustrated but resigned, I drove the short distance back to my house, my mind replaying the moment I had placed the card in my pocket, trying to convince myself that I had somehow imagined it. When I parked, I got out of the car and stood up to walk into my house and froze. The card was in my pocket. Felt it immediately. The familiar heaviness and the unmistakable outline of the metal card pressing against my leg. I reached into my pocket, and there it was, sitting exactly where it should have been all along. My stomach dropped. I stood there, rooted in place, trying to make sense of what had just happened. I checked and rechecked my pocket again, even though I knew it was impossible to miss the card. The pocket wasn't deep enough to lose it, and the weight of the card made it impossible not to notice. There was no way it could have been caught in the fabric or overlooked during my earlier searches, and I'm certain I didn't put it back in my pocket during the drive home. I was too focused on the mystery of where it had gone to even consider doing that. This isn't the first time something like this has happened to me. Over the years, I've noticed small, inexplicable events that make me question reality. I even have a name for it. I call them gremlins. It's as if these mischievous forces mess with me to make me feel crazy. They'll hide things in plain sight, move objects around, or make me doubt my own memory. This day at the post office was just another instance in a long line of strange occurrences that I can't explain. I've tried to rationalize it 100 different ways since then, but no explanation feels satisfying. The entire sequence of events defied logic. It was as if reality had momentarily bent or shifted, and the card had disappeared into some unknown void, only to reappear when I least expected it. To this day, I can't explain what happened. All I know is that for those brief, surreal moments, it felt like I had stepped outside the normal rules of the universe. Story 30. Water cup disappeared and appeared again. Yesterday, my boyfriend asked me for a cup of water. We keep our cups on the kitchen counter, so I naturally went there to grab his cup, but only mine was there. So, I reached into the kitchen cabinet to get a new one. While filling the cup with water, I turned to check the spot on the counter just to make sure. And yes, there was only one cup mine. Mine is pink, his is green. And that's not really trivial to me, because we have our own custom cups. They're always in their spot on the kitchen counter, unless they're being washed. So, it was unusual for only mine to be there. I handed him the water, then I went back to the kitchen, and suddenly, there was his green cup sitting right next to my pink one, in its usual spot. Story 31. Second, identical handmade keychain. I volunteer at a local animal shelter, and all the volunteers were given a keychain made by a local supporter. The keychain was mostly white, so after handling it that day and writing in a semi-dirty cup holder, I almost decided to throw it away in the following days of receiving it. I decided to hold on to it, and a couple days later found a second identical pristine white keychain in my car next to where I had the original dirty one. No chance I could have came home with two, as some volunteers did not receive one since only so many were made. Now I have two keychains and a neat personal Matrix glitch story with evidence. Win-win. Story 32. Lost vape immediately replaced. Oh my god. I have been ghost following this sub for a while because when I first found it, I had this story, but completely forgot it, and it never came back to my mind. Until right now, right before I was supposed to fall asleep. Okay so, I used to have one of those convenience store vapes. I went everywhere with it, and it never left my hand. One day my friend and I were getting into a cab. I saw almost the exact same vape I had on the back seat, exclaimed to my friend. Look! Another vape. I showed her both of them in my hand, and being the person I was back then, decided to keep it. We leave the cab, and I do a sweep of the back seat like I always do. Nothing. We get to where we're supposed to be, and I go to show both vapes to show our other friends that I got lucky. Except I only have the vape from the cab. Mine is nowhere to be found. Not in my bag, my pockets, not in any of my friends' pockets. Absolutely, positively missing. I've never been able to explain it, because both my friend and I saw me holding both vapes for the entire ride, and then one was just magically gone. 33. Eye ointment vanished into thin air. I've had an eye infection for almost a week, went to the doctor, got ointment for it, been using it for about 4 days. I got up this morning, as usual. I go into the bathroom, use the ointment as I do every morning, and go about my day. I have to use it 3 times a day at least. So about 5 hours go by, I go back into the bathroom, and the ointment is gone. Okay, maybe it's in my pocket. Nope. Did I bring it with me to my couch? No. I did not go out today. I haven't been anywhere else. I have looked everywhere. It just disappeared. There's no one home. I'm the only one here. It has been sitting on that counter for 3 days straight. Story 34. Censer being swung heard, nowhere to be seen. I attend Divine Liturgy, the Mass, at a small Serbian Orthodox parish. It's really small. It's in a small building with office rooms. The church is in the largest room of the building, probably a room meant to hold reunions. I was talking with the other parishioners outside the room after Sunday Divine Liturgy a couple years ago, after the priest had already put away his vestments and the sacred objects. One guy heard the sound of the thurible, censer, being swung and mentioned it during conversation. Orthodox thuribles have small bells attached. We all heard it as well. Curiosity took over me, and I entered the room to see what he was doing. He was hearing confession from a parishioner. The thurible was nowhere to be seen, and the room didn't smell like incense. I exited the place as a matter of respect and waited for the priest to finish hearing the confession in order to talk to him. I asked him if he used the thurible after the Divine Liturgy, and he said he didn't. He just put stuff away, and we all heard the bells jingling. It wasn't just me. I wasn't even the one who first mentioned it. I'm not one of those religious guys who call everything a miracle. Actually, I'm a very skeptical person in general, and I don't think it was one, but I still can't think of a reasonable explanation for what happened that day. Story 35. Jeans glitch contains bonus pillowcases. For those who missed my jeans glitch, here's a summary of the original post. I ordered 2 pair of jeans. Jeans 1 disappears after several wearings. I take jeans 2 out of box, wears packing slip, and set empty box aside. Weeks later, jeans 3 appears in empty box, still no packing slip. I take out jeans 3 and set empty box aside again. Since then, jeans 1 has never reappeared. Jeans 2 and jeans 3 are in my regular pants rotation. I have them labeled, as a commenter suggested on my last post. After my last post, I told a visiting friend about the jeans glitch. I ran to get the empty box to show her, cause that would prove something. I pulled down the empty box. Lo and behold, it now contains a pair of dress slacks and a packing slip, saying I ordered 2 jeans and some dress slacks. What? So now I remember that yes, I did order dress slacks with the jeans. But where were they and the packing slip when the box was twice empty? I planned to use the box to ship some donations to a museum, but what if it arrives there empty, or full of random pants instead of my donations? We now proceed from trousers to pillowcases. I have 2 sets of sheets, one all yellow and one all blue. One day I change my bedding, throwing the soiled blue sheets on the floor and putting the clean yellow set on the bed. Pick up blue sheets to take to laundry room. Oops, drop the pillowcases. Carefully pick up blue pillowcases and tuck them securely in the blue sheets. Load washing machine but don't see blue pillowcases. They must be still tangled in the sheets. Nope, when I remove sheets to dry, there are only blue sheets, no matching pillowcases. I searched my house for those damn blue pillowcases for 2 weeks. Finally, I decided to change my bedding again. Yellow set goes in the washer. I put blue sheets on bed and scrounged up some ratty old white pillowcases to sub for the missing blue ones. Hours later, I noticed 2 clean and folded yellow pillowcases next to my bed. The only yellow pillowcases I own are the ones I just put in the washer with their matching sheets, so I go empty the washer and find yellow sheets with blue pillowcases. What the frick is swapping my pillowcases around? Where were the blue ones for 2 weeks? How did the yellow ones appear dry and folded when they should have still been in the washer? What the pants is going on around here? Story 36 to 300 miles in 15 minutes. What happened? After reading a similar story, I figured I'd post mine. This happened around 1995. Now, I was working with a subcontractor, and we left the job site to get to the contractor's main office to turn in paperwork so we can get paid for the week. On the way to the main office, that was road construction, and we had to take a detour. Little did we know that detour went through the Twilight Zone. After taking a detour, we very quickly got lost. So we pulled over to this gas station to ask for directions. After finding out where we were and Chim pulling out the map that we had in the glove compartment, to my horror, I found out we was 300 miles from where we started. We had traveled 300 miles in 15 minutes. What took us 15 minutes to go one way took us nearly 5 hours to go back the other way. I did not get home until after midnight. We never did figure out what happened. The old man flat out refused to talk about it. Story 37. Every pair of jeans I own has gone missing, so I had like 6 or so pairs of the same black jeans from the same store. I wore them all the time because I like them a lot. They have front pockets and everything. One of them had a huge hole worn into the ass from wearing them so much, but steadily they all have gradually gone missing. And it wasn't really that weird to me for a while because they'd go missing after being washed, and the washer and dryer in my house are in the basement, which is a total disaster. And I live with other people who use the same washer and dryer, so things going missing down there is pretty much a given. However, earlier today I was wearing my last pair of intact jeans, and I changed out of them to wear a dress to a little Christmas party with some of my friends. I didn't put them downstairs or anything. I'm almost certain I left them in my room. When I got back home about an hour ago, the jeans are nowhere to be found. The shirt I was wearing was located immediately. I dug through my hamper, looked through all the drawers in my dresser, the floor around my room, the bathroom where I changed, and they are nowhere. What the fuck happened to my jeans? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Now, the only pair I have left is the one with a hole in the ass. I specifically kept it so I could remember what size they were in case the rest went missing. For the record, this does not happen to any of my other clothes. It's just my jeans? Bruh. Story 38. New compartment and older wallet. About 6 or 7 years ago, a friend got me a nice wallet for Christmas. It's one of the smaller square type, with a lot of compartments. I've used this consistently every day since she gave it to me. I'm aware of and use the various compartments for various things, and I love having all the nooks and crannies, so to speak. However, yesterday, I was paying for something with cash, and total came to whatever $1.11. So, I reach into the change compartment for a dime and a penny, and there is now another little compartment, like a second change compartment behind the main one. 6 or 7 years, and I have never noticed this? The wallet is beginning to even look a little shabby. It's been used so long and so often. I tried using a replacement wallet for a week or so, but I'm so used to this one, I am planning to use it till it becomes embarrassingly tattered, then replacing it with a very similar or identical one. Lol. Now then, have I never noticed the extra change compartment? Did my wallet grow a new hidey hole? Cold sweat smile. Weird. 39. Mirror unbroke itself. Got a pretty minor glitch, but still want to share because I'm scratching my head over it. Now, I have a small mirror, maybe 8 ins by 12 in, that has a metal frame around it. I had been painting the frame and sat it on the floor to dry, which, in retrospect, was a dumb thing to do. I ended up stepping on the mirror, with shoes on thankfully so I didn't hurt myself, and instantly knew I had cracked it, just by the way it felt. I looked down to confirm a giant crack across the whole length mirror, but I was in a rush to leave my house, so I left it there to deal with when I got back. I'm sure you see where this is going based on the title. When I got home, the mirror was back in perfect shape. No cracks, no scratches, no nothing. I'm pretty elated because I really like this mirror and was pretty damn bummed that I had ruined it, especially in such a dumb way. But I'm also pretty confused about it. If I had stopped to pick up the pieces and dispose of them, instead of rushing out of the house while leaving the mirror in place, what would have happened? Also, what does this mean for my 7 years of bad luck? Haha. Story 40. My car? drove itself or something? Contrary to the title, this car was not a Tesla or any other car with self-driving capabilities. Of Maine. It is a 2012 Toyota Prius. This happened 3 months ago, and I still haven't been able to come up with a rational explanation. Other than a glitch? It was a week before my brother's wedding, so I was staying with my parents to help them with preparations. My mom asked me to go pick up her Sephora order from the mall, so I borrowed one of their cars, drove over there, and parked near the entrance closest to the Sephora. For context, this is an indoor mall that I'm very familiar with because I grew up in that area. While some of the stores have moved in and out, the general layout has stayed the same, and the Sephora has been in the same spot for as long as I can remember. You go through the side entrance, up the escalator, make a left, and it's the third store on your right. So I go inside, and the first thing I see is brand new splatter room. I love splatter rooms, so I took a photo and texted it to my cousin group chat to tell them we should all do that together when they came into town for the wedding. Then I ran up to Sephora, grabbed my mom's order, and ran back out the entrance I came in. I was inside for less than 10 minutes. Got to where I had parked the car, it wasn't there. There was another car in that spot. I thought for sure I was just misremembering, and it must be in the general area, so I started weaving up and down the parking spaces. After 5-ish minutes, I started pressing the lock button on my keys, but I couldn't hear anything from the car. I was super confused, but still figured I was just misremembering. Maybe I parked further away from the entrance and hadn't realized it, so I walked all the way down that row of parking spaces until I got to the actual road, carefully looking at every spot, all the while still pressing the lock button on the keys. Now, nothing. Then I did the same thing for the parking rows on either side of where I thought I'd parked. This time I was pushing the panic button too. Still nothing. I knew the car must have been stolen, and I couldn't believe that this would happen right before my brother's wedding. I called my mom and explained the situation to her. The whole time she was on the phone, I was walking up and down different parking rows, looking for the car, hoping to God I'd just missed it. I knew I had to go inside and ask security if they had camera footage, and then report the car stolen. But also, I'm brown and have had bad cop experiences before, so I thought that I would walk all the way around the mall just once, and then report the car stolen. I was still rapidly pushing the lock and panic buttons, trying to breathe deeply and not freak out. When I got to the asterisk other side of the mall, a completely different entrance than the one I had come out of like 40 minutes earlier, that's when I heard the car. It was there, and it was parked, just not where I left it. I wanted so badly to believe that I just forgot where I'd parked the car. I tried telling myself that I was just stressed with wedding preparations, but I had the text that I'd sent to my cousins about the splatter room, with a photograph. 2 of them had replied to it. I know I went in that entrance. If I had parked it on the opposite side, I would have had to walk all the way around the mall to get to that entrance, which was ridiculous. It still creeps me out just thinking about it. 41. Dear God, it happened again. I have my vitamins on an every 6-week delivery. Like 6 months ago, I got my delivery, threw it in the closet in its box, and when I went to get the vitamins, there were 2 boxes of them. It really weirded me out, but I kept telling myself like, maybe I accidentally bought an extra box or something. I paused my delivery, finished them, and moved on. Started up my delivery again, and I got my vitamins yesterday. Threw the bottle in the closet. I just went to take my new vitamins out, and there are 2 freaking bottles again. They have the exact same lot number and expiration date on the box. I'm losing my freaking mind. Edit. I did check my order history, and I haven't gotten any vitamins since October. There are 50 pills in each bottle. I take them once a day. I had none left when I got my new order. I'm just really at a loss. Story 42. Missing cutting board? I think not. Okay, so this glitch just happened to me about 40 minutes ago while I was cooking dinner. I had to cut up some chicken, so I went and looked for our glass cutting board, which me and my boyfriend both put right between the microwave and the wall. I look there, it's not there. So I asked the BF where it is. Since it's not there, he looks there, it's not there, so we both are confused and begin to search the kitchen. I checked that spot again one more time, and it's still not there. It's nowhere to be found, so I was just gonna use the cooking stone that we have that's on top of the microwave to cut the chicken. I didn't really want to use it since I didn't know if the chicken juices could be absorbed into the stone and cross-contaminate other foods. Because of this, I take the stone out of the box it was in and read the instructions to see if it was safe to use. As I'm getting done reading the pamphlet, I look at the side of the microwave again, and lo and behold, there's the cutting board. At this point, I freak out and ask my BF if he's playing mind games with me. He gets confused and asks what I mean, and I tell him that I found the cutting board right where we both just looked. He says there's no way it was there, and we both know that it definitely wasn't there, and I even stuck my hand where it was supposed to be, and there was literally nothing other than some ramen that fell there. This kind of thing happens to me all the time, and I always just kind of write it off as me having a bad memory or my cat's taking stuff and dragging it somewhere else, but this is the first time that me and someone else have experienced at the same time, so I feel like I can't write this off. Scary, but cool. 43. Just had a glitch I cannot explain. I work from home and often sit on my couch to do menial office tasks in the afternoons. I sit with a side table on my left and an organizer bin to my right. Since I do this so often, I have chargers laying just right, supplies on the side table, etc. I went to lift my phone a few minutes ago and stupidly grabbed it by the charger. It got snagged on the couch and ended up falling between the couch cushion and the armrest. Because of the way I heard it fall and how loud it was, I actually thought that the phone fell all the way through the couch and onto the floor. I got on my hands and knees and looked under the couch. When I didn't see it, I realized that it had not fallen all the way through and was actually stuck inside the couch itself. After moving the organizer bin, pillow, and couch cushion, I could see a small hole where the phone must have perfectly fallen, allowing it to go into the couch. I attempted to stick my arm into the hole, but then had no choice but to rip the lining of the couch in order to get my hand close enough to the phone to grab it. I got my phone and cringed at the amount of crumbs that were attached to it. I wiped it off, plugged it back into its charger, and placed it on my side table, while mentally noting how close I had just come to damaging it, since it was delivered to me only 24 hours ago and is brand new. I then put my workspace and cushion back. I added a pillow to the side of the couch nearest the side table so that nothing could fall back into the hole. I was thinking about how I was going to go about fixing the hole I had ripped in the lining when I reached for my phone on the side table. There. I stood up and looked around, comically patting my non-existent pockets. I looked under the couch, in my organizer bin, everywhere. Then, I dinged my phone with my watch, and I could hear it. It was inside the couch. I removed the pillow and cushioned, and went to reach my hand in the hole in the lining, but I couldn't. The hole wasn't big enough. I had to rip it again. Here's how I know it was a glitch and cannot be explained away. 1. I am home alone. No one could have moved it. But even if I wasn't alone, I hadn't left the room. This all happened within a few moments. 2. I heard it fall through the couch the first time. It was loud and undeniable. I would have heard it fall if it happened again. There are no sounds in this room except for my dog softly snoring. 3. I plugged it back into its charger after I got it out of the couch the first time. Even if it had somehow fallen, the charger would have been moved. But it wasn't. It was laying just as I had laid it, only it wasn't attached to the phone like it should have been. 4. I had to rip the lining again. It was as though the universe reset by like 2 minutes, and my phone went back into the couch, and the lining unripped. I can't explain this away. It finally happened to me. I've experienced a glitch. Story 44. Fast flying white orb. This happened to me yesterday, and I am not quite sure what to make it. Been looking stuff up, and the closest thing I see is ball lightning, but it doesn't really match. So this was around 6 p.m. I live in NJ, in a woodsy section of a little enclave of houses. I am walking my dog around as I usually do after work. I am in a pretty boring dirt road, surrounded by a sparse scattering of houses and many trees. Now it's pretty dark. There are no streetlights in the area, and other than the moonlight and my flashlight, there are basically no light sources except Christmas lights on the houses, which I am not next to when this occurred. Out of nowhere, I see a bright, white orb flying towards me at about eye level. I turned my head following it, and it sort of disappeared out of nowhere, much like it appeared. It maybe traveled a total distance of 20 feet, that I noticed, and at its closest to me, it was maybe 5 to 10 feet. This was around the size of a baseball or softball. It moved in a straight line and was completely white, but I did not notice enough glow around the trees around it. Now, at first, I thought I was losing my mind, but my dog also noticed it and freaked out a bit. It also followed its trajectory, and when it disappeared, my dog became agitated. If it weren't for my dog's reaction, I would have dismissed it as my imagination. I am sure it wasn't a bird, as it was literally a circle shape, and I am enough of a bird pervert to notice a bird. I am not a ghost believer, but there is cemetery about a mile down the road, and then there are all the drone sightings in the area. Saw one actually not too long before this on my commute. And other than a handful of sleep paralysis experiences, I haven't ever encountered anything considered paranormal. Story 45. Axolotl's charms have multiplied. My bestie and I make jewelry and accessories. One of them is boot charms. She'd recently purchased some axolotl charms in various colors. We counted them. added to our inventory. There were 4 of each color. She made a set of boot charms for her dogs, with 2 of the pink axolotls. We went out and came home. She walked into the dark kitchen and heard something hit the floor, turned the light on, and it was the pink axolotl from her right boot. She was sad the charm had cracked and fallen off. She sat it on the dining room table to try to fix it the next day. She went to her room, took off her boots, and came back to the kitchen she walked into and kicked something. She picks up a second pink axolotl that's identical to the first. She checks her boots to see if the other one had broken too, but both boot charms were there, fully intact and dangling from her boots. We checked our inventory box on the shelf, and the other 2 quarters we originally got were still in there. We somehow ended up with 2 extra pink axolotls that materialized out of nowhere. Story 46. Car disappeared. This is the only spooky thing that's ever happened to me. I saw a car disappear. It was a clear weekday afternoon, and my GF and I were driving down a busy 2-way street when we saw a car coming in the opposite direction make a sudden left turn right in front of us. We both braced ourselves. The only option for them was a 1-way street in the wrong direction with a car stopped at a red light. Otherwise, all storefronts, no laneways. We both looked at each other, and I slowed down so we could look around, but didn't see where it went. At the speed it was going, it would have 100% been an accident. It was right in front of us, both completely sober. Whenever we're in that area, we're both just like, yep, we saw a car disappear. Person shrugging light skin tone male sign. Story 47. Extra single AirPod appeared under my sofa. I live alone and was moving my sofa to vacuum, and there was a single AirPod on the floor under the sofa. I own a pair of AirPods, so I thought I must have dropped one without noticing. But when I opened my AirPods case, both AirPods were both in the case. This was during COVID, and I had only one visitor that whole year, and she does not use Apple products and doesn't own AirPods. I have no idea how this single extra AirPod ended up under my sofa. It was not there the previous time I had moved the sofa to vacuum. I keep it in a drawer, and maybe someday I'll figure it out, but in the meantime, it reminds me life can be very weird. Story 48. My half stick of butter became whole again. It happened last night while I was making dinner. I got a new stick of butter from the fridge and cut 3 to 4 tablespoons off of it and placed it in a mug to melt in the microwave. I used the melted butter for drizzling on potatoes. A few minutes later, I needed another small pat of butter, and when I went to cut it off, noticed the stick appeared nearly whole again. It should have been about a half a stick. I called my husband and son to see, and we could not debunk this or figure out a solution. With the current prices of groceries, I'm just thankful for my glitch butter. Story 49. Disappearing car. I was driving my girlfriend at the time home from her dad's house to her mom's house on a pretty desolate back road. Not much traffic on that road whatsoever, especially at night. And there is only 2 houses on this road which are spaced out pretty far. This road has a 35 miles per hour speed limit and is pretty much 100% straight for about 1.5 miles. And then there is a 90-degree turn which is marked well. This particular night, I had been driving on the road for probably 3/4 of a mile, and I checked my rearview mirror, which I normally do multiple times while driving, and I saw some headlights behind me probably 1/4 mile back, and didn't think much of it, but the lights were getting brighter and closer at a pretty good rate. I was driving about 40 miles per hour and kept my speed. Before I knew it, the headlights were right on my tailgate, and it looked as if they got in the other lane to pass. The 90-degree turn was coming up quick and not too far in front of us now, and I thought, holy shit, this asshole is about to pass me with a turn coming up. I saw the headlights in my driver's side mirror now, and I started looking out of my window to see who it was driving like that and flipped them off because it was a stupid move to pass there. But there was absolutely no vehicle that passed me. No more headlights, no sign of any sort of vehicle being there. My girlfriend had seen this happen as well. She told me to stop at the 90-degree turn and turn around thinking that maybe the car crashed in the ditch or went off the road. I turned around and drove back that way, went really slow and looked on both sides of the road. There was no sign of any vehicle, no tire tracks, no smoke from a crashed car, absolutely nothing. I had goosebumps the rest of the night. I still think about this moment frequently. I have told a few people the story but mainly keep it to myself because I think it sounds nuts. I still cannot explain what happened that night, and it still gives me goosebumps to this day.